BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
5 Live Boxing.
This is the 5 Live Boxing podcast at the end of a truly extraordinary night at the Manchester Arena, an unforgettable night. I've been coming to this arena for about 24 years. I've seen the greatest British boxers ever in some of the greatest British fights ever. And tonight I witnessed something I've never witnessed before. A true shock, an absolute startling finish. Liam Smith dropping and stopping Chris Eubank Jr. in round 4. What an event. What an end to a monumental and controversial and quite brilliant week. I'm Steve Bunce, and this is the 5 Live Boxing Podcast. So the fight finished about 8 or 9 minutes ago. Joe Gallagher and I have left the ringside area. We're back in the tunnels underneath. We're going to go and do our usual thing that we do on the 5 Live pod, where we go and walk into dressing rooms and we go and see who we can speak to. It is still frantic here. There is still a sense of shock and awe here. Joe, we were there, sitting down at ringside, and when as Eubank slumped, not 4 feet from us, down to the canvas. I've got to talk about the end in the 4th round before we talk about the first 3 rounds. When did you sense that this fight was over, Joe?
The left uppercut and the left hook, when Chris Eubank Jr. stood up and took his first step forward, I thought it was somebody that was coming out of one of the bars in Manchester at 11 and 2 a.m. midnight.
It felt like that, didn't it?
It felt like Victor Loughlin could easily have called it off then.
Victor looked in as much shock as the rest of us.
But he was stood in front of him. He gave him the benefit of the doubt. And then obviously, as he went box on, Liam Smith come out right hand, stunned him straight away. Eubank Jr. put his hands round the waist, tried to hang on, fell to the floor. Got up, but when he got up, Victor Loughlin didn't even bother with the count. Very good stoppage by Victor Loughlin.
So let me just explain what happened here tonight in front of 19,500 people. Chris Eubank Jr. was stopped after, I think, 68 seconds of the 4th round. There was a feverish atmosphere inside the arena. 19,500 people, a genuine sellout. The week itself was controversial. It was tense. It went over any lines that exist of decency. It went crashing into the barriers beyond that point, and it led to the fight this evening. In the opening round, I thought that Liam Smith was smarter, sharper, and that perhaps Eubank was just maybe not as focused as he should have been, because it was an incredible atmosphere. But then in rounds 2 and 3, he did seem to find his range, find his eye, just seemed to get a little bit closer, and I think he was nicking those 2 rounds. Then we came to the 4th. We've just been joined by Tasha Jonas, who of course shared a gym in fact, she told me the other day she's been sharing gyms with Liam Smith since about 1957. But that would give everyone's age away. First of all, Tash, the ending was stunning. It was shocking. What was your reaction as you saw Eubank Jr. start to slump and go down?
Like, literally, you can hear it in my voice. I've got no voice left from screaming. Like, I don't think it was one single shot.
It was 7 or 8
It was
shots,
a combination of shots, and the way his legs buckled, but the pride and the ego and everything, and probably the inexperiences of being in that type of position. He's just jumped back up.
Having never been there.
Exactly, and he just jumped back up. He hadn't recovered. He hadn't even given himself a second or two to, at least get his equilibrium or anything. He just jumped back up, and then that you knew from then that Liam was just going to capitalise. And he said before, if I had someone down 4 times like he had Williams, that he wouldn't make it into the final bell.
There was 2 minutes left.
And there was
as well.
still 2 minutes left.
But there was a sense of shock, wasn't there? I mean, there's a sense of shock in my voice, sense of shock in you. You're there, but the real shock was even almost in the crowd as well. People took a second, and only a half a second, but it seemed like forever to it's actually dropped him. Yeah. He stopped him. It's going to be finished.
I thought if there was ever going to be a stoppage for Liam, it'd be late. And I thought the first 4 rounds would be dangerous, because we know that Liam takes a little while to get into a fight and to break people down and to impose his strengths. But, I said it was important that he won at least one of the first 4. He definitely won the first for me. A couple of the others were close, but, no one expected that.
No one expected that. Just stay here, Tash. I know you want to get home. I'm just going to grab Carl Froch was working here as well tonight. I've got Sky Team 1 here as it goes. Carl, I've just been asking Joe and I've been asking Tasha the same thing. That moment when you suddenly saw Eubank sag and go down those ropes, that was one of the biggest shocks I've seen in ringside, and I've seen some shocks. That actual point when you feel he's gone, he's not just gone, he's hurt. This fight's over.
Yeah, I agree, and it was such a shock because you know he's a tough kid. I've sparred with him. I've hit him with big shots. I know it's 16-ounce gloves and head guards, but you've seen him against George Groves, Billy Joe Saunders. He takes a big punch. One thing I always say, he's tough like his old man. Yeah. He can take a punch, and I don't want to take anything away from Liam Smith's performance because it was just a brilliant performance. He was only just warming into it.
He was loving it, wasn't he?
Listen, he was getting his time and his distance. Chris Eubank was ducking low and he was bringing the shots up. Liam Smith was just landing nice, accurate blows on the chin, the side of the head, and just bullying him around a little bit. To say the size of him, he was able to put Chris Eubank Jr. where he wanted. But the moment that right hand clipped him and that left hook went over the top, I was like, wow, he's hurt. He's done him. And I don't know, and I don't want to say, the reason I don't want to take anything away from Liam Smith's performance by saying this, but it makes me think there's a problem at 160 for Chris Eubank. But he's not a super middleweight.
But then the second and third shot, the left uppercut, Liam throws a left uppercut and then turns into a left hook. They're the two. And there's a moment there where, when you watch it from one angle, where Chris Eubank Jr. actually, his eyes closed and he's gone. He's falling. Yeah. That was some performance. It was some shock and it was some night.
It was a great performance from Liam Smith. And to be honest, when I watched it on the replay and watched it back, you're right in what you say. Liam Smith was able to plant his feet and sort of throw that left uppercut, right hand, left hook, and he threw big, heavy shots, and he put some meat behind them punches, and he was landing quite flush. And to be fair, he just obliterated Eubank Jr.
Yeah, he
just wiped him out.
He did, yeah.
It was so unexpected.
I know you've got to get off. I'm going to have a final word with Tasha. Carl, thanks very much for your time. Carl Froch is off. Tasha, I can see a look in your eyes, the same look I've got in Joe's. It's a bit emotional. What's it like when you watch someone who you've been with, like you, all those years at Rotunda and all those years at Joe's? What's it like when you see someone like that pull off a win like that? What's it feel like as their friend?
Going in, like, I was literally getting like...
Where's your voice gone, Tash?
I know, going in, I was getting palpitations, like I was getting a little bit panic attacks, my heart was racing, everything. And then, you know, when he finished like that, I was, as you can tell, I was screaming. I think I was the happiest person in the arena.
Ben's just joined us.
I want to know when this Anfield date is, Ben.
This Anfield date's when Chris wanted it.
Tash, you can go. We've held you captive long enough. Ben, if we can just grab you for a couple of seconds. I'm talking to people here.
Shield Jonas.
Shield.
Co-main event with Eubank Smith at Anfield.
If Eubank has it, yeah. 100%.
If Eubank takes it.
So that would be in an ideal world. Sometime in the early summer, we'd get Shields and Jonas. See that? Well, that's not bad. And then we'd get Eubank, providing he wants it,
Smith
against
Eubank.
Smith. Of course. Sorry, Smith Eubank. Smith Eubank to Anfield. Has it sunk in a little bit more? I spoke to you 12 minutes ago, Ben, because it's only slowly sinking in with me. Has it sunk in a little bit more with you? The magnitude of what happened and the way it finished.
Not really. It's the first one we've won. Every time we seem to lose. Congo lost again. I know whatever happened there. Congo lost again, but to win tonight, and fair play to Eubank Jr. because we did say he didn't need to take this risk, and he did, and everyone in boxing knew he was taking a risk, and he was. And Liam Smith had a tough week, and he's so mentally strong. Joe will know he's hard as nails, he loved it, and he enjoyed it. And he told me from the start, he said, "Ben, get me you that fight." And then he was talking about May and June. Last week to me, the fight was on Saturday. People would have thought he was nuts, but amazing.
So if Eubank decides, you know what, I'm going to have to move up, although as Carl Froch pointed out, he's not really a super middle. But if he were to decide that, what, as his promoter, would you be talking to Liam about doing fight-wise? At whatever weight it's going to be, 60, 58, whatever weight.
I think Kell Brook said he wanted the winner. I would look at that, if I'm honest, with Kell Brook and Liam Smith. But I do think Eubank will take the rematch.
You
think he will?
Yeah. Eubank will take the rematch.
I think he will do it.
That's pride, and that's what got to beat him here tonight. The inexperience to stay down on one knee and get up. The pride killed him. That 50% shout he put out has come back and bit him on the backside tonight. Now, whether he's got to turn up at 100% at Anfield, that's what you almost would got to try and sell the fight on.
Listen, I think he will. I think he'll take it. I think he can't not.
Yeah, you know what?
Can he not? Can
Ben,
he avoid
there's
a
massive argument. Liam talked before the fight that if I lose, Steve, where can I go? What can I do? Where can I show my face? That's what he talked to me about. Well, it is the same finally for Chris Eubank Jr., a man who even in defeat has still left venues with some kind of moral victor. And now he's got a situation where I kind of agree with you. I think, and don't necessarily disagree with you, Joe, but I agree with Ben slightly more, is that Eubank will wake up and say, look at that bruise on the right side of his face, and he'll say, I've got to take this rematch. I've got to avenge this loss.
I don't envy his position because he'll now know Liam Smith is even better than he thought.
That's a very good point.
And everyone out there will. Everyone just thought it was hands up, come forward, and we're seeing how he's clinical tonight and his finishing shots tonight.
To be fair to Joe, so many people. When Liam first tried to make this fight, we were like, oh, they won't take it. There's no way he'd take it. And there's no way. And we tried, and then the Ben thing happened, and then managed to go full circle, and we got the Smith fight. But then when it was made, everyone was telling me, oh no, Eubank would be too powerful, too strong. I speak to Joe, who's obviously trained him, and he's telling me, no, Beefy's a favourite, he should win this fight. And
Joe was massive on that all night tonight.
And fair play, and it shows that people in boxing knew. And all the talk was around this, but he's got great fundamentals, and that in the end came through.
Well, Carl Froch nearly lost his voice. Tessa Jonas nearly lost her voice. You've nearly lost your voice. But I've got to ask you one thing. As great as tonight was, there is a massive rumour circulating, and it may be fact. And I'm going to ask you about a separate fight. I hate to do this, Ben, but I've got to. Where are we with Josh Taylor and Jack Cattle? Can you please put me out of my misery?
No,
is it off?
It looks, it's not off, but it's gutting. We were announcing it tonight in the ring. Josh Taylor told us he had an injury 2 days ago. I'm gutted for Jack, because Jack's been waiting 12 months for that fight because of Josh.
So it's going to be pushed back?
It's going to be pushed back again, and I'll probably get Jack active in the meantime, but it's not good. But we were told about an injury a couple of days ago.
To his ankle.
And he's got a whatever. But yeah, I just feel sorry for Jack, if I'm honest, because as I say, he's been waiting for 12 months.
Ben, and final thoughts. There's a moment just before a big fight starts when the arena's this big, when the arena's this feverish. And I asked you about this when we did that thing down in Bournemouth. But today must have been for you just that taking 1 second to look around as they were coming to the ring, as that crowd was dancing and singing and cuddling like it was a summer festival somewhere. What was that like, Ben, as the promoter?
I knew it was going to be special when at 8 o'clock there were 20,000 people already in here.
We've been saying it all night.
It was
Joe's been saying the same thing.
It was half full.
There was a buzz at 6 with like 1,000 people in the place.
I've never experienced that as a promoter, ever.
Congo Esserman, there wasn't a seat available.
No, there wasn't, and that was one before the chief support. It was ridiculous.
The pigeons had left the building.
Correct, but people say like boxing's dead and this and that. No, people love boxing and they want to go to boxing. They just need to be given it, and they were given it tonight, and they were here at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
And they came in tonight. They were entertained, and they saw a shocking end, and they will come back. Ben, you get yourself away. You go and float away. Ben Shalom, promoter of tonight's show. He's gone. Thanks very much indeed, Ben. Joe, I'm sorry about that, Joe. I know you and I were talking, but I couldn't resist doing something with Tasha and getting Carl and speaking to Ben. Now, Joe, I've got to ask you this. As we were going into the fourth round, with Eubank starting to relax a little bit in rounds 2 and 3. Rounds he nicked, didn't dominate them. I thought he won them, but he just nicked them a little bit. Look, and at the end of the third, of course, he did catch Liam with those uppercuts. They were on the gloves, but he still caught him with them. Plus, he went back looking confident. Going into the fourth, could you even imagine what would happen? That what happened could happen?
Not at all, Steve. Listen, Chris Eubank Jr. in the third round, he threw a right uppercut, he threw a second right uppercut, and then another right uppercut, and Liam Smith threw tight guard, bit peekaboo, laughed, grimaced, and then came out for the fourth. But Liam said, as we've heard there now, we caught him with a shot early on, and he had a reaction out of Eubank Jr., and Liam thought so.
And he could tell.
And that's what I've always said Liam's good at. He's good, he's very well to manage inside of a ring. He knows how to work it out himself as well. The timing, he has a presence, and like you say, the finishing when he got him, unbelievable shots, vicious left uppercut, left hook, and then the right hand, and there was that little bit more intensity in the shots when he finished him, but no one expects that. And Steve, me and you have walked from ringside. You've been ringside interviewing now for however how long since the fight. We still stopped there, and as we walked here and we went talking to Tasha, it's like, did that just really happen?
No, that's what it feels like.
Has it happened?
And I tell you what, and hopefully I'm going to try and speak to him. I've been told I can, but he may be getting some medical attention. But that was the look as Chris Eubank came out of the ring, and I was a foot away from him and just got a nod from him. he looked like he was still in shock, not from the punches that caught him, but from what the punches that caught him led to. In his wildest, craziest nightmare dreams, he never, ever gets stopped by Liam Smith in round 4. That in his wildest of dreams.
We've just said that. We don't know how to believe it. Imagine Chris Eubank Jr.'s thinking about it back in the change room, going, what's happened? I got stopped. I never envisaged that. Now, the thing with it is, Steve, no one has seen that. Carl Froch said it before, him being hurt like that.
Yeah.
Did that making that weight for that PR stunt for Conor Benn? Did that take something out of him?
Well, that's what I was talking to back there when I said that whole thing, is that he lost the weight, remember, in about July, August. That was when he first started selling that September fight. So he's basically had 6.5 to 7 months of being slim, of being so low. And that, you know yourself, Joe, you can't have a guy near enough on his fighting weight for 6 months.
No.
You can't do that. No matter what, you wouldn't even ask a heavyweight to be at his trimmest for 6 months. So these are not excuses. And listen, the last thing I want to do here in this cavernous, echoey room here, when as the crowds are finally filing away, and somewhere down those corridors, the Smiths are genuinely celebrating. Last thing I want to do is take even a millimetre of credit away from Liam Smith's victory. Joe, as you know, I caught up with Beefy as he left the ring, and he sat down in front of me. He was clear-eyed and totally unmarked, and dare I say, in a little bit of shock himself. Here's what he told me in the minutes, the seconds after that stunning victory. Liam, first of all, congratulations on one of the most sensational wins. Did you get a sense of that? Did you get a sense of that in the first couple of rounds? Did you get a sense that you could catch him and you could hurt him?
No, but I felt like the little shots I was catching him with, he was kind of like going very uncomfortable about. Like it was like he was.
He didn't like it.
Yeah, it's like he didn't want to get it. I don't know where to look. I haven't heard no sparring stories. I'm just pulling this out the air, but I just thought, whoa, right, you clean. You don't want to be it. Like, look, I'm a weirdo. I don't mind getting it. I know it's strange. Steve, I've always been called weird for that, but I just thought you're terrified to get hit here. I know boxers don't want to get it. Stephen shouldn't get it, but I just thought. I said to you all week, he has got a great chin, but I don't think he can't be hit, and I've just proved it.
Well, you know what? You may have a great chin, but if you get it 10, you caught him 10 or so good shots. 3 or 4 at the end was staggering, and he was just there. I mean, the last combination, could you tell once you got him over in the ropes, not the second knockdown, could you tell that was it?
Yeah, I just knew. I just thought I can't let him off you because his fitness, he can get back into fights. So I thought I need to finish him now because he's fit, he's durable, and if I kind of empty the tank and don't get him out of there, I might have come unstuck. So that was what I thought. But I said all week, look, I'm a very good finisher, and a
clinical finisher.
Yeah, and I knew if I got him hit, I'd finish him.
And at the end, I'm relieved that the two of you were embracing. I'm absolutely relieved the two of you were embracing at the end.
Yeah, of course. Look, I said, look, name me a Chris Eubank fight that's been respectful. Not many, but look, I've been slaughtered for it. Okay, something I might have said might have come across wrong. I apologise for anyone offended by it. I'm far from homophobic. I've got gay friends, female and males. I'm far from it. I respect everybody. It was just tongue-in-cheek with Chris, and I never even said the words, gay or anything like that, to be honest, Steve.
No, I was there. Now, Liam, once you were coming into the arena, you were walking backstage and you looked okay. Then once you came down the ramp, you just changed. You just went, that's it, I want to fight.
This is me. I told you all, I'm milk. There's not many, I don't mean this to sound cheesy, and that there's not many fighters who can milk a crowd and get a crowd going like I can, especially to my ring tune. So, like I said, that was up there with the best nights of my career so far by a mile.
Now, it was brilliant. It was a brilliant finish, brilliant, I think, brilliant crowd, brilliant night. Let me just ask you this one quick thing. Did he mention in the ring, and are people talking about, I'm going to say the word rematch? Is that what anyone said?
He just said, look, if Lee ever give me a rematch, I'll do it again. So I think Chris will go back and sit and watch, and he might have a think about his campaign. I don't know. Might have a think about 160, whether he struggled or not. He might evaluate it and think, no, I don't want it, so that's it.
But you'd give it if it was there, the right money?
It's on my terms. It's at Anfield.
Liam Smith.
It's at 157, 158, or yeah, it's on man.
Liam, I'm absolutely delighted for you, son. See you later. Absolutely delighted.
Thanks to you, Steve. Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Liam Beefy Smith there, a man who won absolutely no belts tonight, but he established himself as an absolute attraction. And what's more, I think that's a fight that will change and transform the rest of his boxing life, as it should. One thing I did like there, Joe, we can all dream about it, whether you're a Liverpool fan or not. I'm not a Liverpool fan, but just as a fan of big events when there's some sort of emotional attachment, beefy walking out, as Ben Shalom said, maybe with Tasha Jonas against Claressa Shields at Anfield on a balmy night on Merseyside. That's just about as good as it gets, isn't it?
And everyone's singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," Steve.
Don't! What a night that would be!
It'd be under night. Listen, we were here this time last year. Brilliant start, 2022. Calm, Brook, Manchester Arena, Grahamsford. Here we are again, 2023. Another great start to the year. Let's hopefully this year now we can crack on. Liam Smith has arrived again back on the world stage. Whether it's Eubank Jr., whether it's Triple G at Anfield, let's once and for all get a big night at Anfield.
Oh, what a night that would be. Joe, you've been absolutely brilliant. I'm going to leave you now. I'm going to go back into the bowels here and see what I can find. Joe, thanks very much. Always a pleasure doing business with you. Joe Gallagher there.
7 years ago, I was filming at East London Mosque when the story broke that 3 schoolgirls from the area had gone missing. They were heading to Syria to join the Islamic State group.
Breaking news this morning, 3 British schoolgirls are reportedly missing.
Shamima Begum was the only one of the girls to emerge from the ashes of the so-called caliphate. I've retraced her steps from the UK through Turkey and into Syria to find people who knew her and to investigate the truth of her story.
What do you think people think of you?
As a danger, as a risk, as a potential risk.
The Shamima Begum story, Series 2 of I'm Not a Monster.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
I've just been in and out of Chris Eubank's dressing room. He's got some ice under his right eye, and he's asked me nicely if he could not do an interview, and I understand that and respect that completely. Fighters lose, you seldom get proper interviews with them. So I'm outside the dressing room now, and Chris may change his mind. I'm outside the dressing room now with Khaled Sowland, Chris's promoter. First of all, Khaled, what was your reaction in that 4th round when the fight switched and changed? In one of the greatest shocks I've seen live in my 38 years covering the sport.
Yeah, I mean, it was a shot from the heavens, that's for sure. I didn't see it coming. I thought
no one did.
I thought the first couple of rounds very close. I think Liam the second, but then I thought Junior in the third really came on strong. Started letting the hands go. The jab was firing nicely, but also the uppercuts. I thought it was a strong third round.
It was a massively strong third round.
But this is boxing. That's why it's the most exciting sport in the world. This is a result that I don't think any expert picked. They picked, we had a few picking Liam on points, but
a fourth round stoppage, having dropped him twice.
This for a man who has been in with the likes of Arthur Abraham, George Groves at 168 at super middleweight, much bigger men. It just goes to show in boxing, timing is everything, and it was for us tonight. It went the wrong way.
Was there any sense in the build-up that? And I'm not looking for excuses. I'm just trying to work out. Was there, were you hearing anything that the weight was a problem? Because it's been 7 months of floating in and around that weight, or 6.5 months. Were there any rumours circulating?
No excuses. There's absolutely we have no excuses. It's the fight was made at middleweight, of course. But he came in at 159. Voluntarily, so the weight's not the issue. I think and I think the preparation, the performance everything was going the right way. He walked into one, Bunsey. That's the nature of the sport, and probably see it again.
No, I'm not. And that's the next point. I'm not sure how much time you spent with Chris since the end of the fight, but my understanding is there is a rematch clause that he could invoke. Is it your sense that would be something he would do?
Look, he's a man who's definitely going to want to avenge that.
Yes.
It's about timing. It's about sitting down, next week and analysing what's out there. We'll be speaking with Sky and with Boxer around that. There is a clause. We could activate it immediately, but it's saying that it's a little bit rash to say that right now.
Absolutely, but I've got to ask. I've been around you an awful lot over the years. We have some deep history going back. And I've seen you when you've had wins, and I've seen you when you've had defeats. You seem in the same kind of shock that I am, only a little bit more so. Like, literally, you don't seem quite like Calla.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a criticism. That's an observation.
You know what? The thing is, I don't actually feel deflated. I feel shocked.
Yeah,
pure shock. It will probably hit me tomorrow. But this is. We said it was an elite fight. Yeah. I said it was a live fight, and to be fair to you, Bunsey, you weren't asking about next opponents. Most experts were asking me, well, who's next? I said, but don't look past Liam Smith. I said, this is a live fight. This is a fight that the fans are called for, and normally when fans call for fights, you're in for a treat. And it was turning. For me, it was getting nicely warmed up. I thought Junior was really coming into it well, but he walked into it.
That's what we do. That's why we follow it. And I tell you what, we've also been, you and I, in some arenas with some atmospheres. That was a top 3 tonight. That was a top 3 tonight.
That was quite an atmosphere. All the singing and dancing. Boxing is it's a wonderful form of entertainment for the fans. You saw they really enjoyed it in there. Unfortunately, it wasn't our night, but we'll have nights to come.
And finally, after a week that's been fairly nasty and fairly hostile and very lively, fantastic to see that much respect shown by both of them at the end of the night.
Yeah, that part, that was a pleasant surprise this evening.
Yeah.
That was a pleasant surprise. I didn't actually expect that after the fight.
No, I didn't either. You and I talked about it.
We discussed it, didn't we?
And I completely believed you that there would be no...
We said they could fight 60 rounds, they wouldn't fall in each other's arms.
Absolutely.
But they did. Once, if their fight comes again, then I'm sure they'll go back to hating each other again.
Use your hostilities.
But it is an amazing sport when you think about it, Bunsey. You've got two guys who really don't like each other, but they still manage to embrace and But like I said, wasn't our night. There'll be nights to come.
Calla, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
So I'm still outside the dressing room. Chris is still inside talking to people. Roy Jones has joined me. Roy, thanks very much for coming out. You've been in the game a long time, Roy. You've had some ups, you've had some downs. So you're used to it, just like I'm used to it at ringside going around the world. But that was a shocking ending.
It was a very shocking ending because partly because I know he didn't think Liam could hurt him. None of us really thought Liam would be able to catch him good enough to hurt him, but he did. And things like that happen in boxing. First time I got knocked down, I didn't think the guy could hurt me. And all the next thing I know, the referee was counting. So these things happen, but what they do is they make you smarter because had he ever been knocked down before, he'd known to stay down until your legs got together.
Don't just pop knee, have a look around.
Don't just pop right back up, get your brain together first, then get up slowly. But as you see, he popped right up because he's not experienced at that. So that kind of happens with the sport. So I think it'll make him a better fighter in the future. And nobody wants to see that happen to anybody. But sometimes, in order to learn to go to that next level, it has to happen.
Yeah, as you say, you have to come through some adversity to get there. I saw him briefly in there, off mic, off camera. You spent some time with him in there. How is he at the moment?
To be honest with you, he's shocked, but he's a guy that he's such a competitor that he's already making jokes and ready to come back. You feel me?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, he already said, well, I guess 50% can't beat him, so I guess I have to come back at 100.
I thought you were going to say come back at 60.
You're right. I guess I have to come back at 60. Yeah, he said 75.
Roy, and I've got to ask you this question. In the last few weeks you've been working with him, have there been any problems? I mean, or have things gone relatively smoothly? Obviously, it's a big fight and there's always problems, but...
Things went relatively smooth. Only thing you would have worried about was the fact that at the build-up, they got so personal.
Yes,
and when they get that personal, things can happen. And I feel like, that probably played into it a little bit, but, that's all. Nothing else bad happened.
And when you find some time to sit with him and talk with him, what would you be saying? What would you be telling him about his career going forward? Because you're a man, Roy. You've reinvented the roller coaster ride for boxing. You've ripped up the book. You've written the new book. What would your advice be to him?
Now you understand that you can't go down from a punch. So now proceed with caution from this point forward. Because there was even a time in sparring not long ago, I told him, hey, I'd rather you give up a body shot than a head shot. He said, yeah, that's you, not me. I said, okay. So, until that happens, people don't believe it. But when it happens, now they understand the dangers and what you're trying to warn them about. But until they have that happen, it's hard to really tell them because he had never been hurt before, so you can't. And his argument was a legitimate argument at the time because he'd never been hurt before. Now that argument will go a little bit different.
You know what, Roy? It's always a pleasure talking to you. The first time I interviewed you was after you'd beat Mike McCallum in Tampa, and I came into your dressing room with Nassim Hamed, and you'd beaten the master Mike McCallum, and and he was cagey, and you dropped him brilliantly, and you fought great, and you were as much a gentleman that night as you are now. Thanks so much, very much indeed.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Roy. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate that. So I'm just going to turn around from Roy Jones to talk to George Groves. First of all, George, when I did come in there and get that tiny audience with Eubank, you were in there at the back in there. How was he? How did he seem to you in private when you were in there talking to him?
Yeah, no, I think maybe in a little bit of shock still, which is totally understandable. His ego would be bruised more than anything else right now. That's how fighters work. He's a proud fighter. We've been colleagues in that we've been sparring partners over the years, and we've been opponents, but there's always been a lot of mutual respect between both of us, and I've always had a lot of admiration for Eubank. I appreciate him, so I wanted to go in there just now and make sure he's doing okay. And, tell him
he's going to struggle tomorrow morning, George.
I think so, yeah.
That's not me trying to shock. He's going to struggle when he gets up Sunday morning, when it sinks in that it's actually happened.
Yeah, no, and it does. I've been rock bottom before, time and time again. It feels like, Steve. So I said to him as well. I said, like, if you I'm here. I'm at the end of a call. It's off the record, that sort of thing. But
sure.
He will. I'm sure he'll be suffering in the morning, and it won't just be the morning. It might be for a significant amount of time after that. But it's boxing. It's a crazy old sport, and sometimes these things happen.
Now, George, you had to spend loads of your own money, travel all around the world, and make a rematch happen that no one wanted to give you. He's got a rematch clause. Will he invoke it? What's your gut feeling?
I think he will. I think he'll be thinking about it now. But my advice to him would be, don't make any rash decisions. Don't rush into this. I don't think that's the right fight for him right now. And I'm sure, like, when the fight's finished, me as a fight fan and as an ex-fighter, I'm like, that didn't look right, and I don't really want to see it again if I'm Team Eubank. Of course, if you're Smith, you're thinking, right, let's do the rematch. It's another mega fight. It's another pay-per-view fight. There's probably a lot of money involved. Probably it's on a better split or a better percentage or just a better purse. But for Eubank, something wasn't right tonight. You need to get to the bottom of it. And there was an element of, when you get to like the personal side of it, the Smith is the Smith family. You see the Smith family, a family of brothers, and they're a fighting family, and it's the community gym that they come out of. They're all together.
Yes.
And Eubank walked tonight, and of course he's with Roy Jones, but Roy Jones is not his family, and his dad, who he's always been accountable to and has always been ever present, isn't around at the moment.
Yeah, he's off the
sadly.
scene big time.
And his brother tragically passed away last year. So, the Eubank fighting family, they wasn't present tonight.
A bit splintered.
It was
Young
Eubank
Harlem,
Jr.
his cousin, was in there.
Harlem's there, but Harlem's not that voice of experience and authority really. So it looked tough. I felt there was parts of him. He didn't look super pumped like he usually does on the ring walk. The fight itself, it took him a little while to sort of get into it. So I don't know whether that's weight, whether that's just temperament, whether that's desire, who knows.
Well, this stuff will keep on coming out as we go forward. George, thanks so much for your time on what has been a quite monumental night here at the Manchester Arena.
Lovely. Cheers, Steve.
So I'll leave George there to wander away past Roy Jones, past Kalle Sauerland, past Ben Shalom, past Carl Froch, past Joe Gallagher and the rest of the ghosts that walk these corridors here behind the ring at the Manchester Arena. I've been coming here for about 24 years now, to be perfectly honest with you. Saw Chris's father here, saw Nassim here, saw Joe Kazaki, saw Mike Tyson here walk down this corridor following him as he went to the ring. But that was one of the biggest shocks I've seen, not just in this arena, but in boxing. There was something shocking about it. It was also brilliant. And as Kala Sauerland pointed out, Bunsey, that's why we love the sport. And that is why we love the sport. Now, I'm hoping this week to do something on the brilliant fight next Saturday at Wembley. Artur Beterbiev, unbeaten, every win by stoppage or knockout, fighting Anthony Yard in what is a great fight. Well, after this fight, after Chris Eubank Jr. gets dropped and stopped by Liam Smith, who knows what will happen next week. It's been a great week up here in Manchester. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for downloading the pods. I'm Steve Bunce, and this has been the 5 Live Boxing Podcast. After the big fight.
Let's get ready to rumble! 5 Live Boxing.